Hello, buddies. Hello, another Kalenio Chinok. It's about how to get grades like A and B if you have lower grades. And I really kind of going into depth with this video, and like it's really like for me I think I'm especially qualified because like I really had throughout my school experience, I really had like both A's and C's, and it's been really like from time to time I have like really high grades, I'm kind of mood, like attitude, and others I don't have it like low, and I think I come up with few tips like how to get you started. And yeah, I have the copybook right here, and I think that like the key for me when I'm looking back at those times when I was like the most successful, have the most grades, the best grades and stuff like that, I usually was preparing for lessons, and I don't mean like preparation from yesterday's lesson for today, like today I have past lesson and I'm preparing. It was more about like going into future, the next lesson or the one after it, like that kind of preparation. And I wouldn't just do homework, I would look for topics like next on the textbook, like I usually does that with physics, and there's been like next topics and I would research them like when you have internet, and nowadays we have it, but when I was in middle school it wasn't like this, like there was very little of internet in this state. And so when you have the internet you can kind of look up like not everything but like specific topics, and usually the questions that the teacher will ask like children, and you kind of look that kind of topic and you have this ideas of what you're about to say the next day. So this really makes a difference. And like if you have like 30 minutes or like an hour for preparation to the next day, I would recommend to spend the majority of the time to prepare for the next topic, not just looking back but looking forward. And yeah, that was kind of it. And another kind of like important thing that I really wanted to point out, it's like in responding in class, like really boldness of imagination, and not just imagination but kind of behavior, like like if you're like me, you had this time when you're kind of like if you're not highest grades in this class, you kind of sitting and you're kind of somewhere else mentally, and even some answers sometimes, but you kind of still sitting and not checking it out, but it's like for lower grades. But when you kind of get in high grades, you kind of your game like on game, you're participating in that lesson, and you're kind of talking, spilling it all out, and that way teacher sees, professor sees that you know something and you deserve high grade. And yeah, that is kind of, so I would recommend like after this preparation for the next lesson, then on lesson when professor explains something, be like bold and even audacious, but audacious in a way that you're more confident in your response, like you want to say what you want to say, not in the offensive way but more in the way like calmly, like confident, like you're expert, some kind of like that, like that episode when yeah, like in Harry Potter, like you remember Tom Riddle, like he, oh, yes, I mean the one who became later Lord Voldemort, and yeah, the name whom we shall not speak, something like that. And yeah, how he was with that professor, and before he asked how to divide soul into parts, like how he offered him a pie, like something like that, was smiling, charming. So yeah, kind of that attitude, not like a fancy attitude that you kind of want to throw a book on a teacher or something like that, not like that, but more like a charming one. And yeah, and so once you're prepared, you have this boldness of responsiveness, of this audacity to tell, and you like collecting, like remembering all the things you learned in the previous task and what you can talk out loud. And professors like to make pauses in their speeches to ask pupils what they think of it, what they think that they are going to say, what it will be, and kind of like that. And you kind of wait for that moment. You are ready to speak, and you speak up what you read, because you can't just like know it before you, if you don't read it, but once you prepare. And the teacher really believes that you kind of have this kind of, you know, like a gift. They usually call it gift for like subject, and but it's actually preparation. And I even have this experience when I was, I don't know in which grade, probably somewhere in high school, and it was physics, and I read before like about this earth and how this kind of like charged elements and something like that. And there was kind of this kind of thing that teacher asked, and I was like, I'm first, I'm gonna reply, and everyone was silent, and I first, and I replied, and kind of I really get good grades back there. Yeah, so you kind of like that, you wait to reply and you reply. Yeah, and that's kind of it. So we covered boldness of response, we covered preparations, and yeah, I think with that kind of attitude you really gonna have something like higher than B, I believe, maybe higher than C. Like if you had E or C, then you probably have B or A, most certainly, or even B plus or A plus. So yeah, that was my tips for staying like with high grades, learning better, and actually presenting yourself better to class, to teacher. Like another piece of advice, you kind of like performer, like you see, like how they think, they not seen with frown and emotionless. They kind of really playful. They really kind of have that spark in them to perform, to really gather these stadiums, gather these concert halls and stuff like that. And that's kind of your kind of attitude for your study, and preparation also really important for the next lesson. So yeah, that was it. Stay safe, get higher grades, and I will see you in my next video. Ciao!